Everybody, hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to lunch break. It's Thursday, it's noon, and you're eating your lunch, and we're going to talk and hang out with you while you do that. So we've got today Randy Duncan's with us, and he's a good dude. I've known him for a little while, a couple years, few years. He serves at VBF at the church that we work at, and Randy's just an interesting guy. I've sat down with Randy, and I've had lots of interesting, good conversations about God, about church, about health. He's really into health, and he's going to share today part of his story about how God led him into eating right for him and to exercising and kind of what that's done for him. And so it'll be good. We're going to have fun. If you guys have any questions for Randy, if anything is sparks your interest or you just have any type of question, Randy is he's got a lot of knowledge up there. So he'll definitely give you something to look up later on the internet or whatever it is. But first, are you guys excited about this weekend? About we were talking about Halloween, and we were talking about how some Christians don't celebrate Halloween, but you can celebrate, an alternative, right? And so at the church, a little plug for that. Friday night, we're going to be doing a drive-through trunk or treat. So if you want to bring your family out Friday night, it's from 6 to 8. It's going to be weird and fun.
It's going to be really fun. We're actually going to have our whole podcast set up out there.
We are.
And we're going to have an FM transmitter.
So we're going to have a lunch break set up, but it's going to be on the radio when you drive through, so that'll be a lot of fun.
And we're going to have some Halloween music, like our favorites, classics. Yeah. Have it all planned out. It's going to be fun.
All right, cool. So it'll be fun. Vince is guaranteeing the fun. So that's tomorrow night, 6 to 8 if you're in town. It's at the east side, 2300 East Brundage Lane. And we'll check that out. And then we got the election next week, and next week's supposed to be the craziest week ever, they're saying. But I think my best advice for everyone next week is just to just pray and then relax. It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. We're going to get through this season, and everything passes, right? Everything gets crazy for a minute, but then it always chills out. So hopefully it will. I'm really hoping.
When you got your ballot, were you surprised to see Kanye West's name on your ballot?
So I was surprised to see Kanye West's name on the ballot. And then the other guy who's running for president, and I don't know who that guy is. Right. And Kanye is like claiming that he's running for president, but he's really vice president. I don't know. It was weird. So,
yeah, I thought that was. I was like, wait, Kanye? Okay. I was kidding.
You went for it.
I went for it. I'm like,
oh,
sure.
You voted for
no,
Kanye?
I don't know. I'm not saying.
Yeah,
maybe.
Right. You're not saying you voted for it. All right. So anyway, it's probably best not to talk about politics on the show.
No.
This is not This is not. We probably just make everybody upset. But anyway, so Randy, why don't you share with us a little bit about your story? We were talking a while back, and I've been very interested in the fact that you were talking about how you were unhealthy and you're having some issues with your stomach and different things, and how you felt like God led you into, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but God led you into adopting a new lifestyle. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like what led up to that?
I started out with praying grandparents back in the 60s, and my grandma and grandpa took Prevention magazine, so I would read that even 10 years old.
Yeah.
That got me interested in health. And then a book in 1982, Life Extension. And then later on, sick, migraines my whole life, 4th grade up, ulcers from about 1985 up. And one day I just looked over at my dad and I decided I want to be like him. Sitting on a recliner, sick, and I started doing things differently.
That's cool. So what did you do differently? Like what did you start with?
I started with researching nutrition, food, and I went from there. I changed my diet around. I've always taken supplements, so I took a few different supplements.
Okay. Like what I know that you are really, really, really into certain types of eating. What kind of diet do you do now? Is it like the Bulletproof? You talked about that for a while, or?
Yeah, it's a cross between all of that stuff.
Okay.
I started out, my doctor said high cholesterol. And I said, well, I know what to do, low-fat diet.
Sure.
So I did the low-fat diet. It skyrocketed from 2-something to 260. And I went down to buy pants one day, and the lady says, what size pants do you need? I said, well, 31. She says, you're not 31. I go, yes, I am. She pulls the tape out. No, you're at 35.
Oh, my gosh.
I said, nope, I'm not buying size 35 pants. So I started looking what to eat. And I found a book called Protein Power Life Plan by 2 doctors, Dr. Eads.
Okay.
I lost 18 pounds in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And that was the start of nutrition, actually.
Crazy. So how long ago was that?
That was around 2001.
Okay. All right.
And actually, to find that book, I was driving down California Avenue. I gained that weight. I was eating what the doctor said. I just cried out to God. I go, God, what do I eat?
Right.
And I just thought he said, turn into that store.
So how old were you during that time? Because I don't want to age you, but I want people to understand that they can make decisions at any point in life, right?
That's be 40s.
Okay, so 40s. So there's a lot of people that are in their 40s right now. They're listening to this, and they think, man, it's too late. It's too late for me to turn around and do anything different. I have my habits, is what it is, but they're not feeling good. We were talking about stomach issues earlier, and you were saying that like you found ways to help your stomach, and people don't, like, I have stomach issues right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. And of course I can go to the doctor and do all that and get the prescriptions, and
Didn't work for me.
yeah. Well, my wife was telling me this. She's like, you can take these pills and you'll have to be on them for the rest of your life. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. There's got to be a better way. There has to be a way. And what's interesting is talking to my dad and talking to you and talking to different people, I've realized that there might not be a one size fits all for everyone,
Right.
but we have a spiritual sense, right? Like God can speak to us and show us what to eat. He can show us how to exercise, give us a plan on what to do. And so you started eating right. How did you immediately feel better, or was it a process?
It's a process. It's over time.
Okay. So what would you say, like, how would you start feeling differently? Like, when did you notice, like, this is something that is going to change my whole life?
Right away, you're not as tired. That's one of the very first things.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. And so what's that?
Well, I was going to say so I want to go back to something because it's interesting. So I know a lot of people probably, if you're watching, you probably got hung up on this. You said you lost 18 pounds in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
That's a ton of weight to lose. And I've gone through, like, we call it yo-yo. I've yo-yoed around. I've gone up and down in my weight quite a bit, like, just through my life. But 18 pounds, that's a feat. But talk about that for a second, because I know that losing weight, like, a lot of people is when we talk about health, we talk about fitness, everybody wants the one-off, right? Like, how can I get skinny the fastest, right? Whether you buy a pill or a supplement, you see there's advertisements like, hey, if you drink these shakes in a month, you're going to lose this many pounds. There's always a quick way to get there. But I know that the 18 pounds is kind of a launching pad for you more than it was a quick, one-off type of thing. Can you talk about that for a second? Just kind of like losing the 18 pounds and then just kind of seeing the process after that.
Yeah, that came from, Dr. Eads, it's a husband-wife medical team. They said they treated clients or patients for 30 years.
Okay.
And basically, it's a low-carb diet. This is before low-carb was invented, before paleo, before all that. So I looked at it, and I thought, well, I'll just cut all the sugar out. I won't have any sugar. I won't have any carbs, which you can't do, but you can come close.
Right.
And that's what happened.
And then from there, did you keep that diet going? Like, after you saw, like, because obviously you can't just keep losing 18 pounds, and 18 pounds. So there, like you said, there has to be a balance to it all. So kind of like coming off of that 18-pound weight loss, did you change your diet to? Because I know you, Randy. See, if you guys don't know this about Randy on the east side, like, he'll show up and he'll bring just green, fresh vegetables in his car from the farmer's market. So I know you eat a lot of veggies. I know you eat a lot of carbs, healthy carbs. So just talking about that transition, kind of like going from maybe something that jump-started you, like, because you probably can't eat I wouldn't say all paleo, but you can't eat a low-carb diet that's probably not a sustainable way to live. Would you agree? Or
No, if you do low-carb, you need to come out of it at least once a week. 'Cause
right.
your body needs insulin. Insulin's one of the master hormones in your body. So I just added carbs, I added potatoes. I had to add stuff to gain weight. I
Right.
was losing too much weight.
You're losing weight so fast, and you had to come back and balance it out.
Yeah, my friend said, Randy, what's wrong with you? Are you sick again? No.
Right. Because
Yeah.
you lost so much weight so fast. Yeah.
And then your skin looks funny for a while.
Right. Sure. Well, it's funny because your body goes through transition. I think that's what people are afraid of, like when they change their diet. Again, you have to. I'm going to reiterate this. Not every diet is not. There's not one diet that's good for everyone. You need to pray and you need to research and you need to find out what's best for you. But if you make a change, you're going to go through that transition and it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, right? And was it uncomfortable at first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's self-discipline.
So how did you get through it, like mentally, spiritually? Like how did you feel like prayer helped or anything? Like what was it that?
That's how I found that book, was prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what a lot of people don't realize is that God will lead you to the right things to eat. Sometimes if you really focus, on what he's saying to you, I really think that that's true. And just asking God. Well, I mean, some of us think that God's not interested in our health, but obviously he's interested in our health. I was telling you before the podcast, I've known a lot of people who are good people. They're godly people. They have a calling on their life. Good things are going really well in their lives, but they didn't take their health seriously and they died too early. And that's a tragedy to me. It really is, because we have these bodies. You only get one. You only get one. You get one handed to you, and that's it. And my wife's probably listening to this right now thinking,
hypocrite.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you need
right.
to
No, it's hard to talk about too, because I know you're so right, Randy. I got to a place where I was pushing 300 pounds and I'm not healthy right now. I mean, I feel okay, but I'm not where I want to be.
You're a lot better than you were though.
Right. But I was at a place where I was pushing 300 pounds, but I wasn't, my diet was even bad. Cause now I would not, if somebody looked at my diet, they'd be like, wait, you should be probably a lot, you should look better than you do, but I feel okay. I don't feel terrible. Yeah. But when I was closer to the 300-pound mark, I was like, God, I want to make a change. I do. And it's hard because I think you try to, I think a lot of people, their approach in life in general is just what can I do really fast just to get and then I'll be fine. And it's and we all know better just from life experience that it's like you said, it's a process. You can't change the way you live you can't just lose weight overnight and be okay. It has to be a process, and then there has to be balance in that process. And I was praying, I was like, God, I want to make a change. And at that time, we had just got a Netflix account, and there was a documentary about eating paleo. And I'm sure a lot of it wasn't completely right, but it got me. I really felt like that documentary was the right place at the right time. God put that in front of me, and I completely changed. Went to a paleo-esque diet, and I mean, for 3 or 4, probably for 7 years, I ate paleo. And I mean, like you said, it was you would lose weight so fast, it was insane, But there was times where I knew okay, I got to come out of eating just paleo and start eating more carbs, because I was exercising. We were training for a Spartan, and I was eating paleo so strictly. And I remember thinking I don't feel good. Even though I look good, I don't feel good, right? So I had to add carbs back to my diet and things like that for balance. But like I said, it wasn't a one-day thing. It wasn't I made my mind up in one day to, or I wasn't going to take a magic pill to fix myself. It was a process, you have to be able to grind that out. And even to this day, I don't eat a ton of bread. I don't eat a lot of sugary things. I try to keep that stuff out of my diet, because I know if I do, it's
well, there's a difference.
Over.
Most people that are younger, you get into this vanity of eating a certain way and working out a certain way to look better, right? And that's great, that's awesome. But really, our goal should be health. It should be, feeling good. It should be having the ability to work as long as you need to work and not feel fatigued, and have conversations and all that stuff, right? And so that's one of the reasons that I think health is important. And so Randy has inspired me. One of the things that inspires me about you, Randy, too, is the fact that you started running later in life, and you run a lot. What's the longest run you've ran so far?
26.2 miles, couple marathons.
Okay, so marathon. So Randy's a runner. You live up in the mountains. You live in higher elevation. And what elevation are you at right now?
About probably 5,500.
Okay, 5,500. Do you feel? Do you run up there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel? Is it harder to run up there in the higher altitude?
There's
or is it
less air, but it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't. You're used to it. Yeah.
I can run from the ski resort up there down to Lake Isabella and back up.
Wow, that's insane. If you guys know what he's talking about, Alta Sierra to Lake Isabella and then back up, that's insane. That's
over 5,000 feet.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's just insane, man.
6 hours.
The distance is one thing, but the elevation's nuts. So when did you start running, and what on earth possessed you to want to start doing that?
Oh, 2017, somehow Alice and Randy come out and run with us. And I thought,
just 3 years ago.
Yeah, I can't run. I've never ran before. And so I ran around the block about a mile and about killed me.
Oh, man. And isn't that the worst feeling, right? When you first start running, you go, I remember I tried to get you to go running in Ventura, and it's I had been running a lot, and you weren't, and we went to go on a 3-mile run, and you just, all of a sudden, I looked back and you were gone. You went back to your car or whatever.
I was done.
You were totally done.
I can't stand
running. But the first, going, like you said, the first time you go out and you run that first mile or first block, it's you just there's no words that can describe like just not wanting to do it again, right?
It's not. Yeah.
It's
Why did I do that?
right. Why did I do that, and why am I here, kind of thing. So what kept you going? Because like again, process. Like why did you after taking that first block and
Why'd
realizing
you
this is
do
hard?
it
Why would
again?
you do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking no way, but Pastor Al text Randy, you're coming Saturday, Randy. So I show up Saturday. He goes, how many miles are you gonna run today? And I go, well, I don't know, 2. So I did, and that about killed me.
Hmm.
And then I didn't run all week. I was a once a week runner. The following Saturday was 4 miles. The following Saturday was 8. The
Wow.
following was 10. I hurt myself. I didn't make it 10.
Oh wow.
And that's when I learned you have to do stuff slow.
Yeah, you do.
These
But
are slow
that's-
miles.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. That's not a problem. I think that most people are so intimidated by that same transition, right? Like there's the diet transition, and then there's the workout transition, and then a lot of people. What I like about you too is you kind of changed your diet before you started getting active, and a lot of people try to do both at the same time, which is a little difficult to do. Maybe more difficult. Maybe it's wiser to start on your diet first, and then start your physical activity.
I think going and depending on where you're at, right? I think the two can go hand in hand. I know just from
They can.
speaking from
They
like
totally
for
can.
me, like if I worked out, it motivated me to eat better because it
Right,
was like I didn't want to it was like why do I want to eat bad
Right.
after I just did all this hard work?
Well,
kind of
everyone's
thing.
different, and,
Right.
and if some
Oh,
people
for
like to
sure
jump
that.
in with both feet, they like to jump in the deep end, and if they can't swim, they'll figure it out,
Right.
So you kept running, and you started feeling better, and so now, like, how many times a week do you run now?
Right now I'm on a slow time, so I'm not running very much.
Okay.
But usually 5 or 6 days.
Okay. And you feel like, is it like an addiction? Is it like not addiction, but is it something you feel like you need to do? You feel like you don't feel right now if
Right.
you don't? That's what I hear from people.
Yeah. So yeah, last year Al says, Randy, do you ever just want to get up and run? It's like, no.
Yeah.
This year that's different. This year, even I'm letting some stuff heal up, and I'm trying not to run. It's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what advice do you have for people that are middle aged, that are not they know they need to do something? What advice do you have for them to start? Like, what should they do? Like, would you say just like you go out and run a mile, set a goal? No,
No. Just start after you eat. 10-minute walk.
walking.
Yeah, they call it postprandial walk.
Okay.
So 10 minutes, start doing that, and then get with a group of people.
Yeah.
Without Pastor Al pushing me, I would have never done it.
Yeah. Well, we had Al and Adrian on last week or 2 weeks ago, and they were talking about the importance of the group and the importance of the community behind it. And I fully agree with you. I think that's really, like, that's what we did with the Spartan thing. Like, we got together, we motivated each other. What's interesting to me is there's this new thing with COVID happening, which we're not supposed to mention, but we did. Is the Peloton world is jumping, like
it's huge.
you have like these online communities that are starting to develop, and it's not exactly the same, but it's really, it is still a community thing where people are encouraging each other to.
But that's a great transition too, because talking about that, I think for a lot of people, starting somewhere is huge, right? And so I think for a lot of people, Peloton is probably giving them access to something they didn't have access to. Like my wife, she has the kids at home. It's hard for her to go to the gym. It's
Right.
It's a whole thing. And we got a Peloton in our house, and we've had it for like no time, and she just hit her 100th ride, and she got so she got so into it that she was like getting dizzy, and I was like, babe, like you can't go 100 miles an hour every day, like you can't. She's like addicted to the thing,
Right.
She wants the achievements, and I started laughing because it's like it's something that she has never been used to, but now she wakes up like we have like an alarm system in our house, and I set it at night. And she's the first one up, and I'm like, what is she doing? It's like 5:30 in the morning. She's on the Peloton. I'm like, what in the world? But it's good because it doesn't. She didn't want to ride every day,
Right.
And all of a sudden, she got to her 30th ride, and she's like, oh, this feels good.
Yeah.
She got to her 50th ride, and then now she's like, she can't.
You start getting into a habit.
Yeah, you start getting
habit.
into a habit, and you talk about habits a lot. How forming habits, good habits, can
Well,
change
bad
your life.
habits kind of seem to just happen when you're not paying attention, and then good habits are much more intentional, right? But they're both habits. You get into a good rhythm, I guess, and you feel better, and you want to do it, and like with diet, right? Like I'm guessing you don't crave the bad foods like you used to.
Not like I used to. No.
Yeah. And that's the change that, and I like to transition from that to spiritual, because I think it's the same thing. Like if you're not in the habit of praying, reading the Bible, fellowshipping, worshiping, doing those things, you're not going to feel like doing it. and you're gonna it's the same exact thing. You're going to dread the transition. You're gonna be like, I don't want to get in it. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be uncomfortable. God's gonna start speaking to me about things about in my life that He wants to change. I don't want to change. I want to, And so talk about let's talk real quick about like the spiritual context and how you believe that like mind, body, spirit, how those things are all connected.
Oh, it all comes together. Even science now, they talk about lifting your hands and about singing. And Psalm says that.
Mm-hmm.
And, the Bible's validating science. Science doesn't validate the Bible.
That's right, yeah.
And there's some other things like that. They talk about meditating.
Okay.
And, that's not with God, but they're blanking out their mind.
Right.
We pray.
Yeah.
And they're showing physical effects when you pray. Well,
what's interesting is meditation is really popular right now. I've always, and the Bible talks about meditation, but I think it's different when the Bible talks about it, To me, it's as simple as when we pray, you got to take time to listen. You got to take time to hear what God is saying, right? You got to close your mind, stop thinking about all the things that are bothering you, that are causing anxiety in your lives, the things that feel, like weight, and give those things to God. Like mentally, when you pray, say, Lord, this is what I'm dealing with. He knows what you're dealing with, but you're doing it for yourself. This is what I'm dealing with. Here, please take this burden away from me. Take this burden away. Take this burden away, and fill me with what you want to fill me with. And then stop and just listen, and then read, and then study, and then get into the fellowship, whatever it is that you're doing. Because I think if you do that, God, if God is a father, if He is the being that we see in Genesis 1, where He's hanging out with Adam and Eve, then we have a God who actually wants to hang out with us, who actually wants to be present with us. And I mean, you have kids, we all have kids. When you're talking to your children, you want them to listen. You want them to be there and be paying attention. And I think about that with our relationship with God. And has running at all like really helped you with that? I know for me, like when I get out and hike or in the outdoor stuff, like I feel more connected with God, especially when I do it by myself. Do you run by yourself ever, or is it
most of the time?
Most of the time. Do you feel that spiritual side of things? Does it clear you up? I mean, what does it do for you? What do you think?
Yeah, I pray.
Yeah.
But also during races, like we did a half marathon.
Yeah.
And I passed this couple, they're running, and I hear the girl say her knee hurts.
Huh.
And I think it was knee, it may have been ankle.
Yeah.
And I felt God said, pray for her. And it's like, I kept going. And then pray for her. And it's like, you mean I have to turn around? I'm in a race. So I turned around, went back, and I ran up to her and I said, hey, would you like prayer for your knee? And she looks at me and she says, what? And I said, would you like prayer for your knee? She goes, oh, yes. So
that's cool. That's really cool.
Every race is like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's the right perspective too, is that you're doing it for the community. You're doing it because God is allowing you to have this freedom to do it. I think that's really beautiful. So Randy, what do you feel like God wants you to tell the folks that are sitting there eating their hopefully healthy lunches? I was thinking about that.
Somebody has Burger King. They're like, oh man, yeah.
Hey, they have the Impossible Burger now at Burger King. I don't know if that's good or not, but
I don't know.
Randy's like, no.
I'm not judging Burger King. If you're eating Burger King, I wasn't judging. I'm not judging you.
We can go there, but the
no.
proteins are definitely different between animal and plant.
They are, yeah, definitely.
And it is possible to be vegan or whatever and
or whatever.
Supplement. Well, there's a whole bunch of different things out there. But just if you have questions, you're welcome to talk to me. God sends me people.
Yeah.
Some listen, some don't, and the ones that don't listen, it's sad because I know God sent them to me.
You had your Bible with you. What have you been reading that's like really sticking out to you lately?
Oh, somebody had asked me about Daniel fast.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a good short-term fast.
Yeah.
So I went back to see why did Daniel fast.
Right.
So he was fasting for a reason.
He was.
Yeah. And God, he had to depend on God to make him look better.
He did. Yeah, he really did. What's interesting about the story is he's like, they have meat, they have all this stuff. He's like, I'm going to eat raw veggies. But you're right. Like God, he depended 100% on God. And that was the beauty of it.
The king's meal would have probably been offered as sacrifices to their gods. And Daniel said he did not want to defile himself.
He did. Yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
So that's a pretty good study. There's lots of stuff in there. And
that's
the other
cool.
one was that Ezekiel bread, right?
Oh, yeah. Right.
So if you go and look up that's siege bread.
Okay.
That's because there's nothing else left to eat.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah.
Interesting.
And then
Okay.
I heard a thing about the Daniel diet too. They're just saying that, like you had said, that it was more of a miracle than it was an actual, like, because in that, like, there's no way you would have looked that good so fast, like eating,
Right.
those things.
10
like,
days.
Yeah, there's no,
Right.
like, you would not have seen such a dramatic change. Although in 2 weeks, you lost 18 pounds. But I think God has a play with our body. I think if we're trying to if we're going in, we're like, God, I want to be healthier, and God's
Right.
involved, I think He jumps in and gives us the things that we're looking for. If you're trying to lose weight and God's involved, I think God will help you lose that weight.
Well, and
right?
I also like this, and this is something my dad's taught a lot, and something I see you doing, Randy, is that you're not afraid to research. You're not afraid to learn. You're not afraid to, grab books and talk to people. And I think that God uses that. I really do. I think he'll put a random book on our minds, and we'll think, well, I don't know about that, or he'll say, go to Barnes and Noble, go to the health section, I've done that before, and I grab a book, and it really does impact your life. And God knows what He's doing when He's putting, the Holy Spirit knows what He's doing when He puts that stuff on our minds and hearts. And so, listening, obeying, following God, researching, all those things are important. And so, I think the gist of today, the theme of it more than anything, is that Randy took initiative to do something about his life and about his body. And many people don't do that. And so I'd like to encourage you guys to do that today. I'm going to do that as well. I got some stomach things that I'm dealing with. I'm going to try to change my diet and work that out. I'm going to try to do the
And
best
you
I
have a
can.
Peloton.
I do.
I like your
I do.
approach to the whole thing,
Yeah.
and I got to call you out right now for this because it's fun. Because, like, you have a Peloton,
Mhm.
and I'm like, have you rode? Nope. But you can't start the Peloton
Mhm.
unless you, like, commit to it. You're like,
Right.
once I start, I'm not going to stop.
I'm
but
not,
you
yeah.
but you won't start.
Right.
You won't even get on it until you're, like, committed.
Until I'm ready to
mindset.
go, yeah.
Till you're ready
and
to
really,
go.
that's next week. I mean, this is a bad week to start. So
Yeah, but dirt bikes would be good for you.
dirt bikes are great.
Well, I rode dirt bikes
Yeah.
in high school and stuff.
Yeah.
I was in awesome shape.
Well, I love it. I mean, I don't do track or anything, but it's fun. Like going on the trails that we went up in Mammoth, and Randy knows of a bunch of trails up in Alta Sierra that we gotta jump on. So if you're out there and you ride motorcycles, hit us up. Hit Vinny and I up. We'll go ride.
Cool. And I think you guys, too, if you want to get into running, they can find you at VBF Eastside. You're always around.
Yeah, part of the
And-
squad
or Al.
runners.
Yeah, part
Yeah,
of the
squad
squad
runners.
runners.
Yeah.
Yep. So go ahead and look for them. I know a lot of people are trying to get into running right now. With COVID, people have been
Yeah.
sedentary and, like,
Yeah.
not. So
Well, it's so cool because you don't have to have a gym membership. You don't have to have like a ton of special equipment, shoes. That's it. I mean,
Right.
that's what you have to have: shoes and water, and you go run.
Mhm.
And I love that. I love the simplicity of it too. Anybody can do that, or anybody can walk hills, right? Like anybody can do this stuff. Well, not anybody, but you can always do something. And so, anyway, so thanks, Randy. Thanks for coming
Thank you.
and being here and sharing your story. You're definitely an inspiring person to me. You always have something good and encouraging to say, and I appreciate that about you. So keep it up, and hopefully you guys will get to know Randy in the future. Did we have any big questions?
just shout outs. Yeah, just
hellos?
shout outs and people just saying, yeah.
Randy's a popular guy around BBF, so
Somebody asked, what was your next big race? Do you have a next big race coming up? Something you're training for?
Not yet. I'm waiting for something that's not going to cancel. But
Yeah.
it'll be
Right, because of COVID.
yeah.
either a 50 mile or a 100 mile.
Wow.
I think your next big race is the fact that you're just
100
running from
miles.
Lake Isabella, from Alta Sierra to Lake Isabella. That's a accomplishment in yourself.
I can't even I can't even like fathom a 100-mile race, but if you do that, we'll follow you out there with the camera. That'd be fun.
I don't even know if I could follow somebody with 100 miles.
Oh
with
no,
the
I
camera.
meant like on the motorcycle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We'll just
Oh, hey, that's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just join up. We'll be one of those people that I don't know. Anyway,
Yep.
yeah, I won't be running. So, all right. Anyway, thanks guys for joining us,
Yeah, thank
and
you.
we will see you next week. And I know this weekend's gonna be crazy. Next week's gonna be crazy, but just stay safe, be in prayer, and everything's gonna be okay. All right. See
Yep.
you guys later.
Bye.